Bite. This was a movie that got recommended to me, actually, by Annette Wozniak, who is one of the stars of this movie. She so happens to be in Secret Santa, which I reviewed about a week ago, and I threw it on their Facebook page, hoping that maybe, the director or somebody would see it to see how much I loved the movie, so they could, see my appreciation for it. And she wrote back, and the director wrote back, and I actually ended up having a really good conversation with the director, and Annette was, really sweet and super nice, and she mentioned that she was also in this and I should check it out, so I checked it out. So this movie is about girls who go on a bachelorette vacation, and I think they're in Costa Rica, if I remember correctly. And while they're there, the girl who is going to be getting married ends up getting bitten while she is out swimming with her friend. And, they come back to town, and the bite starts to become infected, and other things start to happen to her. Now, first off the bat, since Annette asked me to watch this, I'm just going to talk about her performance in it really quick. I thought she was great. I thought that, it was really nice to see the contrast of characters. In Secret Santa, she plays the final girl, the heroine. And in this movie, she plays the total uber bitch, fucking backstabbing best friend who is heartless and only, and selfish. And I liked to kind of see that different side of her, because she's very sweet and almost innocent, even though she does play a different side of innocence in Secret Santa. I don't want to give away what that is, but this is a completely different character. So it's kind of interesting to see her be in Secret Santa, where it was like, oh, I hope she lives, she's so great, to then going into this movie where it's like, oh God, I hope this bitch dies quickly. I wish I would have got to see her a little bit more in it. She's not in it a whole ton, but towards the end, she definitely has a much more substantial role. I was bummed in the beginning because I was like, oh, she's really not in this movie, but then she does become more. So anyway, getting back to the movie, this movie starts off with a few beautiful women. Annette and her counterparts are all gorgeous, and so that always gets me instantly involved. Later in the film, when things start to happen, this movie has a very, it's trying to kind of emulate David Cronenberg's The Fly. I feel like that is definitely where it drew the most inspiration of any film I have seen. Now, there's other films that you could definitely compare to this, but that one definitely seems to be the heaviest influence here. They're trying to bring back body horror. It's a subgenre of horror that basically has disappeared. They don't really do a ton of it anymore. You see it here and there, but not a bunch. But anyway, later in the movie, when she starts to have the effects of it happen, and she starts to descend slowly into this creature, the set, her apartment becomes her domain. It becomes her nest, basically. And that set looks excellent and scary, like you had wandered into the nest of something evil, like you were a little bug who crawled into the wrong place and now you're trapped there with whatever evil lurks within. So I really liked the apartment set once she becomes what she becomes. The practical effects in it are pretty cool. There isn't a ton outside of the set and the way she looks. I definitely wish there was more of it. And it's just a gross movie. A lot of vomiting on things and spitting things up. As I said, this is very acidic, acid, vile fucking saliva, goop stuff. Very, very, very reminiscent of The Fly, as I said earlier. And I like that it's gross. It should be. I mean, I kind of miss this kind of horror. There's so much tame shit out there right now. You know, we're basically in the era of supernatural horror. That's all anyone produces right now. They're all jumping on the Conjuring, Insidious train, and they're all trying to make that next haunted house movie. So we're kind of in that era right now. And there's a lot of PG stuff, and there's PG-13, and there's a lot of that kind of stuff. So we don't get a lot of gross out horror. And it was nice to see something that was willing to be disgusting. Now into the negatives. I think that, for one thing that kind of took me out of the movie was that the main character just never sees a doctor. She doesn't go to the hospital. Now, it could be argued that the instincts that start to set in are protective over whatever is going on inside of her. You know, she's trying to protect what is happening. I guess that could be an argument, but for me, I was just like, really? You know, she calls a doctor in the movie instead of like goes in or, you know, goes to an emergency room. I mean, once something starts happening things start happening to her body. I'm kind of a hypochondriac anyway, so if I get anything on my body, I'm like, oh my God, what is this? Am I dying? I better go Google it. I better go fucking see a doctor. So for me, I was like, oh my God, man, I would have been to the doctor days ago. What are you doing? Another thing is that this movie has a lot of drama that is, you know, pushed into it between her and her soon-to-be husband. She doesn't really want to marry him. She's having cold feet. Something happened over on their trip that's fucking with her head. And I didn't really care much for their relationship. I didn't really feel like they were in love. I don't feel like they really got to know those characters. Like their separation throughout the film should have been gradual and heartbreaking. Like, they were so good. They were so amazing. What the hell? No, I don't want to see them. Like, this is so heartbreaking. This is heart-wrenching, because that's basically the central theme of the movie, outside of her transformation into this creature, is her relationship with this guy, and basically the mental trauma she's going through, not only trying to deal with what's happening to her body on the inside, but, you know, what's happening to her heart and her emotions towards this guy and their, you know, potential future together or not. And he has a crazy mother who doesn't seem to like her and all of this. And I felt like that could have been explored more, so that it was more of a hit. It was more of a punch when those scenes came and it was time to have the talk. And on the flip side, I felt, you know, feeling the way I did about the relationship kind of moving too quickly and not being explored enough, I felt like her transformation, on the other hand, was, you know, rushed. Like, it goes from 10 to 100 in like a second. Because it's like she's kind of infected, and then all of a sudden she like wakes up and it is just full blown, house is fucking crazy. It's like, whoa, okay. Like, the thing that made The Fly really good, since this is so close in comparison, is that I really felt that heartbreak of Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum when they, you know, when he was turning into the Fly and she was trying to be there and she was trying to figure out what was going on, and the heartbreak at the end when she sees him and everything that's happening. Like, that's what, you know. Now, should this movie try to be The Fly in every way? Of course not. But I'm just saying that is why that one worked. And Jeff Goldblum's descent into the creature was much better paced. It was this slow, gradual descent of him falling apart, you know, and it just, that is where the problem happened. Now, I would say that I did like the movie. I thought it was a cool little creature feature. and that the body horror being brought back was fun to see. I did have to laugh because I have kids, and she lays like a million eggs in this movie, and I'm like 100% sure they used Orbeez. If you have kids, you know what those are, and that's all the eggs. I was just laughing. I was like, I think those are Orbeez. Little parent talk there for 2 seconds. Sorry. But overall, I enjoyed it. I think that people who are fans of Cronenberg's Fly, or I don't want to say other movies in the body horror, like any of Cronenberg stuff, or like Society or anything, because it's not like Society or anything like that. It's very, very, very similar to The Fly, which I've said like 600 times now. But don't go in expecting The Fly, or you're going to be disappointed. Nothing is The Fly. But I do think this is a good time as long as you keep your expectations where they're supposed to be. Not low, not super high, just level. So that sounds like your thing. Check it out.